Hi, welcome everyone. This is going to be a new video series that I'm doing on my channel where I shall teach you guys how to clear off either the main story chapters or the side story chapters in Arknights. So I'll take you guys through the first level of that particular chapter and then we'll go all the way until the final one. We'll only do those levels that are important for you to clear off the entire thing. So things like the supply stages, I won't get into that since they branch off. They don't help you to enter the next story stage, for example. So we are going to be starting off with chapter 3. The thing about episode 0 to episode 2 is that I think that they're quite simple. They're not all too bad for people to handle, but it's from episode 3 onwards where players might struggle a little bit, especially if they don't know what that stage is trying to teach. So let's get started in this particular stage over here. We're going to do 3.1 all the way to 3.8. And then all these other branches that you see here, S3.1, S3.2, S3.3 all the way until S3.7, I won't be doing them in this video. I will only be doing the normal stages since for challenge mode, if you can't do them now, it's going to be perfectly fine. You know, you can get your original prime in the future after you have some stronger units in your game. Although I would say that with the tips that I'm going to share with you guys through this video, you'll probably get a sensing of how you're supposed to beat the challenge mode as well. Alright? Before I take you guys into any of the stages, I think what's going to be good is that we review the enemies of this particular chapter. So in this chapter, if I scroll all the way down, I believe we start to see some of the enemies of this stage. Actually, I don't know from what number are we supposed to see them at. I think it's around here actually. So there's some of these invisible enemies that you'll see in chapter 3, invisible crossbowmen, and then there's going to be invisible casters as well. And then later on, you'll also find that there are these people along. So Junkman is in play. I don't think there's Artsguard, but I think there is a bladed fighter. I cannot fully recall. You know what? We're going to hop into each of the level. We'll look from the enemy intelligence from there because enemy intelligence is very important when you are playing the stage. It helps you to decide what kind of operators you're supposed to bring everywhere that you go. So let's take a look at 3.1 over here. In 3.1, there are the regular slugs, there's some wolves that's involved, some crossbowmen, a caster, a lurker who is invisible, and then there's the drone, and a logger. Now, important new player tip. How do you read this enemy intelligence that you see right here? Now, HP and attack, I think those are the easiest. The bigger the grade, it means that they have either more HP or more attack. But what about defense and resistance? So, there are two types of attack in the game. There's either physical attack or there's arts attack. If, let's say, an enemy has a lower grade on the defense, you should be using physical attack against them. And if not, if they have a lower resistance, then it's better that you use arts damage. So we look at all the enemies right here. And you can clearly see that their defense have a lower grade than their resistance, almost on like every single one of them. So that means to say that if we want to tackle this stage, maybe you don't even have to take any supporter or caster into the stage. Of course you still can because quite a few of them still have weak resistance anyways, like C is not a high grade. B is still okay for a caster to handle, but then if let's say you see like an A grade or S grade on the on the rest, sorry, then you probably don't want any arts damage to tackle that particular enemy. Alright, so let's start off with this first one right here, 3.1. So this squad that you see right here of 7 people, this is the only squad I'm going to bring into every single level of chapter 3. It's going to be interesting to see how I work around all these people, and in each of the Arknights Masterclass that I'll give in the future, I'll try to keep to a specific squad. And at the same time, at the beginning of the episode, I take you guys through maybe a few of the branches that you may not be as familiar with. So if we look at Midnight, Midnight is a lord, or we call it a range guard. And you can see from his range, it's a very unique one. You know, he's got the close rangeness in front of him, where he can hit the tile in front, to his left, his right, diagonally, and then straight forward, there's another 2 tiles as well. This range, extremely helpful in a lot of the gameplay, which is why I highly recommend building some lords in your account. Although, try to go for a higher rarity one. If you've got a Taunt, you've got a Silver Ash, those are great. Lapland, another great choice. Aescarp, fun choice, not a popular pick, but I think he's nice as well. Arene also another one. Alright, so that's what we're gonna feature in today's masterclass. Then afterwards, you can see that there are 2 snipers along. So these are what we call marksman snipers. They are anti-air snipers, meaning to say that when a drone or a air unit gets in their range, they will prioritize that unit first, as you see over here, attacks aerial enemies first, and then later on they can target all the other people. Now, I'm taking 2 snipers in this stage because snipers are really good against the enemies that have lower defense. They deal physical damage anyways, and if let's say the enemies have barely any defense, that amount of damage and high attack speed that a sniper have is great for all of these stages that we're about to see. Later on, we're going to see a healing defender as well, which is called a guardian. Basically, they can heal themselves using their skill. Spot is like the bare minimum. He only can heal people when you turn on his skill. But for some other healing defenders, like let's say if you got a Zarya, you got a Null, you got a Gumi, those are marvelous stuff to see. Because you don't have to activate their skill. It's automated, every 5 seconds, 4 seconds-ish, they charge their skill, they can heal someone. So I would rather that you have those people built instead of Spot, but hey, even a 3-star is able to clear the stuff for you guys later on. And then you're going to see a medic into play. So this is a single target medic, or the game just calls it a medic, basically to say that they can only heal one person at a time. It would be nice to have some multi-target medics along here, because there are some AoE enemies, basically enemies that can hit multiple people at once. But I'll teach you how we can get across that later on in the stages that you'll see. Alright, and we move on. There's a caster here. So this is a core caster. Core casters usually only can hit one person at a time, but they are very strong in that sense where instead of comparing to a AoE caster, people who can do one thing at a time means that they have a higher attack amount. If they are able to hit multiple people or they heal multiple people, for example, usually you'll find that their attack is much smaller. Now, Steward is going to be quite a good support in this particular chapter because there isn't a lot of arts weak enemies. There isn't a lot of enemies who are weak to arts damage, but there's still that few, like 2 or 3 of them. So having him in is helpful later. And then the final operator that I'm featuring today is going to be a protector. So these are defenders who have a high health or a high defense. And Cardigan is going to be a sweet choice. She's one of the 3 stars that I highly recommend people to build because she has an insane skill that allows her to restore her HP by her max HP amount. Although you can go for other guardians as well, 6-star guardians like Nien, Hoshiguma, brilliant choices. Free welfare unit like Bison. There's also Whispering. I can't recall all of the guardians. Oh, there's Quora, Bubble as well. So there's so many people that you can pick from. But yeah, Cardigan is the lowest that I'll go for today, just to show off these 6 branches, because Cruz and Nashil share the same branch. Alright, we'll see how we can learn some tips and tricks as to how you can play better in Arknights. Alright, there's always this habit that I have where I try to use as few people as possible in a stage. You're gonna see all that space behind. If you need vanguards, you need to get your DP generation going. Or if you feel that you want to bring a boss killer, you got Silver Ash, you got Aya, you got Surtur, then take them in the stage. They will definitely help you out a lot. Alright, let's start off. I think this is like 8 to 9 minutes into the video already. There was a lot of explanation. Now we begin with 3-1. So I won't use every single operator that you saw there. In this stage, I'm only going to use 4 of the featured operators. So, now, Chapter 3 or Episode 3 introduces this thing called a bush. So when you place an operator within the bush, the enemies cannot see this operator unless they have a particular unit that helps them to reveal their positions. In this case, in this level, there isn't such a unit. And that is why we can use it to the advantage, our advantage, where we can basically have Cruz and an Nashil doing their own thing. You can see the snipers, they're not hurting them at all. I'm gonna place my operators like this. Okay, just 4 operators like this is completely enough. So, as mentioned, physical damage is king right in this stage. 2 snipers and 1 range guard who have, that extended range to reach all the way up to where Spot is. That helps this stage so much more. This is basically 3 sources of physical damage, and a lot of these enemies, they don't have like insanely high amount of health. That goes to show why this tactic can work out very well. Alright, and even though there's some invisible enemies that's going on, the moment those invisible enemies, referring to the lurkers, they snap onto spot, it's fine. All of your range operators and even Midnight himself is able to take them out, just as you see here. Alright, sweet stuff. So I don't need to activate Spot's health healing skill now. We'll see that in use later on if we see that his health is dipping down very low. You can see the anti-air snipers or the marksmen, they're doing their job by killing the drones since they prioritize them first. And then Midnight is helping out in the middle lane, dealing the damage to all those enemies coming in. So this is what I mean by Spot's health getting very low. I can just activate it just as soon as I see that it is required. Alright, and then Midnight will just kill the logger by himself. So very, very simple stuff. If let's say you're watching this as a new player and you don't have a lot of strong operators, adapt from what I'm showing you, you know. If you think you need more physical damage, then bring all of your snipers. You don't need to be you don't need them to be the same level as the ones I have now. Mine are max level at Elite 1. Their skill rank is max as well. But you know, you can always work around it by bringing some of your weaker operators. Maybe 2 weak operators become 1 strong unit together. Basically the idea. Alright, let's move on to the next stage, which is Tree 2. Tree 2, always look at the map before you enter. Then that way you can get an idea of, how would I want to strategize around this? I believe the enemies here are very similar to the previous one, with the exception that there is this shielded soldier guy, which means he's weaker to arts damage, but it's fine. His defense is still quite low, it's C, so we'll still use primarily physical damage against them. Yeah, basically everyone here, they are still weak to physical damage. So good stuff. Let's take the same squad into the stage. This is Tree 2. So I'm going to use the same concept that we've gone about, you know, throw in all your physical damage operators to do the job for you. So I place an Ashield there, and I place Cruz there as well. Now, I'm going to teach you how you can use range to your advantage. I'm going to place Midnight here, and a tendency that I feel a lot of new players would do is that they'll face whatever operator like forward, because it's kind of, I guess it's intuitive, right? If let's say you want to put an operator, you put them in front because you want them to manage 1 lane. But you can have an operator to manage 2 lanes at a time. So with this Midnight over here, I can just face him upwards, and then later you'll see the magic. Alright, I'm going to place a healing medic now. This is the first time I'm bringing Enso in. I'll face him upwards as well. And lastly, I'm going to place our healing defender right over here. So you can see how Midnight is supporting 2 lanes at once. Even Anashu and Cruz is doing the same thing. You know, they're managing the left side of them and the right side of them. And it's brilliant. This is how AK gets very interesting, where you try to learn to adapt to the map, to the battlefield, to suit your needs in a sense. So if you're a new player and you're not used to like manipulating the range of your operators, try to fiddle around, you know, use your practice plans when you enter the stage. If you're struggling, place your operators in all the ways that you've never thought of. You know, now I place all my operators in the front, but could you think of a way where maybe instead of having them all in the front line, they go even more further back, they get closer to the blue boxes so that they defend the home ground much more closely. So that's that. Interesting stuff. I don't need to activate anybody's skill per se, because Enso is doing sweet healing onto the snipers and Dearest Midnight right there. If I ever want to, if you feel that it's necessary, activate your operator skills. So if you want to give more firepower, for example, I can activate an extra skill, which gives him extra attack. Alright. Okay, that's that. Good stuff. Tree 2 is cleared. Let's move on to the next one. Then the next one is Tree 3. So Tree 3 gets a little bit tougher, right? There's going to be a little bit of a mini boss that's within the stage, which is a Crown Slayer. And then there's a lot of other enemies as well. And this is the first stage where it reveals the enemy called the Technical Scout. Basically, for all of your operators who's within the range of the Technical Scout, if let's say your operator is in a bush, the Scout will reveal their position. And that is not something that we want. So I'll teach you how to work around that. Let's see the other enemies. So there's a bigger enemy here, Veteran Logger. This is a red color enemy, meaning to say that he hits much harder onto your operators. And then there's going to be some more drones as well. You're going to see a very odd flying pattern for the drones, which is scary later. Now, this is a bit of a boss of the stage, right? Since she has a bit of a higher health than everybody else. When you are tackling a boss, look at their weakness, alright? That's the most important thing to do. Crown Slayer has C defense and A resistance. So if you want to kill her easily, don't use your arts damage, don't go saying, time to bring my KOB or my Aya, although they can actually kill her. But think of using the best weapons against the enemies. So target their weakness is physical damage. That's what we're going to use against Miss Crown Slayer right here, right? Let's enter the stage with these same 7 operators. Hey, 3-3. Alright, so I'm going to start the stage in a very interesting manner. Same idea, we'll get some physical damage going on. So Cruz is right there. Because I'm familiar with the stage, this is not the first time I'm seeing it. I'm already creating a strategy that is convenient. In this case, I'm going to place an NSU here, facing upwards. You'll see why later on. Alright. And then you can see some lurkers are coming in, so I have to give some block count onto the lane in order to review the lurkers. So let's place spot right here. I'm going to place a healing medic over here facing upwards. Alright. And then I'm going to place a caster over here facing upwards as well. And the final operator I want to place in is Midnight. So the purpose of the caster is to basically have more damage into the battlefield. Alright? Some of you might then be asking me, hey, Ansel is healing everybody that's in front of him. But what about NSU who's over there? Because no one's healing NSU right now. The thing here is that the person, whoever that you place, not all operators need a healer. If let's say you think that they have enough health to get by, or you change the target priority. So for example, in this case, I place NSU first, right? And then I place Ansel afterwards. If any enemy were to come by, like a sniper, they won't go hitting NSU. They'll hit Ansel first because Ansel was last deployed. So that is the idea. You're gonna see that happen later on, alright? So again, Crown Slayer is weak to physical damage. Look at Midnight and Cruz, tackle against her, and do the killing onto Crown Slayer. And then she'll do that last bit of damage. So sweet stuff. That is how you tackle a boss weakness. So look at it. Cruz and NSU, they're trying to handle the drones there. And there's a drone coming in right down to the bottom. So that's why I place NSU in that manner, facing upwards so that he can kill those drones. Alright. If those drones can attack, instead of attacking NSU, they'll be attacking NSU first. So that is the idea that we're going with. I'm going to activate NSU's skill to raise his attack. Alright? Oh, look at that! There's one stray enemy who's trying to enter the blue box over there. How could he do that? Let's place our defender in and do the needed damage onto the enemy. Alright? So that's the idea. It doesn't have to be a defender, it could have been a vanguard, it could have been a guard as well. So sweet stuff. Okay, oh I got grindstone, that's so sweet. Let's go into the next one. Okay, I probably should play this because this is what you have to clear in order to get through episode 3. TR15 is infamous because it gets a lot of people confused what in the world is going on in this stage. Let me play it and I'll teach you what it's trying to get you to understand. This stage is called strategic redeployment and there's only one HPC, so I can't go leaking anybody. If you're unfamiliar with what happens here, there's going to be 3 enemies that walks on the top lane, and then there's going to be another 4 that walks on the bottom lane. Alright? So, how can we handle them? A usual thing when you first start the stage that a lot of people will do is to place a vanguard in. So let's place Miss Fang right over there. And then afterwards I'm going to place Plume. Alright? So why is this stage called strategic redeployment? Now, notice that Plume is about to die. If I retreat her, it not only protects her in a sense, but I get some DP back. Notice that it was 8 just now and it went all the way up to 14. So that's going to be very helpful here. So Jessica and Plume, they're trying their best to kill this Junkman right over there. And I'm going to place some defenders here to hold down that bottom lane. Now, I can retreat Plume. Alright. And then I can also place in a caster to deal with the weakness. So those are shield boys. They are weaker to arts damage. And just like that, Jessica range can reach over to the other lane and Amiya can hit on that bottom lane as well. So this tutorial is teaching people the idea of, number one, redeploying your units, retreating them so that you get some DP back, and at the same time, it's teaching you how to best use the range of your operators. So that's some very fun stuff that we learned from this stage. Alright? Hopefully that gets you to have an idea of how to solve it. Okay, that's TR15. Okay, let's go to the next stage. The next stage is another boss stage. This one has the boss, which is the Sarkaz Centurion. A pretty tough enemy because it can attack 2 targets at a time. So we need to figure a way to get rid of him as fast as possible. Wait, look at the weakness again. His defense is C, his resistance is B. So physical damage is better against him. And for all the other enemies as well, most of them still prefer physical damage also. Alright, same squad of 7. Let's see how I do it. So this is 3-4. Oh, look over here. So there are some bushes that we could be using. Those bushes will be ideal for the snipers because there's no little scout drone, no scout enemy that can reveal them in the bushes. So that's gonna be good. We'll put that to use. So I'm gonna place Midnight over here, facing downwards to handle one lane. And then notice how Midnight range can kind of go over to the right as well. So I'll put that to use. I'm gonna place Cruise here to help him out with damage there. I'm not gonna put any body in the middle, and you'll get the reason why in a bit. So I'm gonna place Cruise and I'm gonna place a caster. Alright. Now, instead of placing Spot to hold down that lane when I could, I'm gonna put Ansel over here facing to the left, so he's gonna provide healing there. And then now I will put Spot in. Alright? So the reason for doing this is that now Spot is the last place operator in the map. I haven't placed NSU yet, but NSU is gonna go into the bush anyways. So he becomes basically the focus of the enemies. When they get close into the range, like all these snipers that you see here, instead of hurting these range operators that I have, they will be shooting at Spot instead, which is going to be a good thing to do because Spot is able to handle the physical damage that the enemies deal since he has a high defense. So that's going to be very helpful. Alright, now I place NSU in so that he can get rid of those drones over there and also help to kill the middle lane enemies. And now I've got enough melee bodies to kind of block out these snipers and reveal their position. So notice that this sniper is hitting at Steward for the starting part, but later on he starts shooting at Spot, which Spot kind of feels nothing from it. And that is the idea that we're trying to achieve here. Alright. So my operators are doing great. Physical damage overkill. Lots of that in the stage. Right, great stuff. I'm not gonna activate Ansel's skill. I think it's good enough. Yeah, Midnight and Spot were handling very well there. Ansel's skill will probably become very important when we start seeing the boss come in. Okay. So again, tackling against the enemy's weakness. Now the Sarkaz Centurion is about to appear. Instead of going straight to the blue box, you're gonna see that there's Sarkaz Centurion. He's just gonna stay still. Right in the middle. And you can see that Midnight and the snipers as well, they deal quite a bit of damage onto them already. Okay, lots of damage going on here onto your allies. So it's gonna be a good timing to activate Spot's skill to help with some of the healing matters here. Alright? So I'm gonna do just that. I activate the Ansel's skill. I'm gonna activate Midnight's skill as well to have more damage going on onto the map. And I'm gonna activate NSU also to help with dealing with the big boys on the right there. And just like that, that's how you can clear another boss stage of this chapter. Alright, so hopefully that gives you guys some learning points to gain from here. We're halfway through this particular episode. Let's go to 3-5 now. 3-5, ooh, big map, right? You see 3 red boxes, one on the top right, bottom right, and bottom left as well. And all the enemies are going to move all the way upwards to that blue box there. So in this case, it is probably going to be wiser that you figure out how you arrange your operators to tank that little base part of yours. But if I recall correctly, there's a scary enemy that's involved here, which is the senior caster. So for the senior caster, when they attack someone, that ally that's under attack, he's gonna receive like an AoE damage, basically an area effect. So all the other allies around the main one receiving the damage will also get hit by this senior caster, which is pretty bad. Usually, a way that people tackle it is to use a multi-target medic so that they can overcome that widespread damage. But in this case, I've only brought Ansel. I will teach you guys how you can overcome this kind of AoE power. You're gonna see a lot more AoE enemies later on in 3.6, 3.7, and 3.8. So I feel this is where a lot of new players struggle to understand what they're supposed to do. That's what I need to teach you guys today. In terms of the other enemies, there's gonna be a dual swordsman leader. This guy is weaker to arts damage, so Steward becomes a little bit more impactful here, although I'm not gonna take him in. The snipers are still gonna do just fine. There's gonna be another drone that's appearing here. This one, I believe he can attack compared to the previous one. So you want to try to get rid of it as much as possible. If not, you can use a defender to tank out its hits. Alright, good stuff. Let's enter the stage of 3-5 with the same squad. Hey. Now to begin the stage, there's two bushes here again, very, very useful ones. I'm gonna place Miss Cruz over here, facing upwards. Right? Now I'm not gonna put any melee operator yet, even though this caster is invisible. I'm just gonna hold on for a bit. Now I'm gonna place Midnight in, and then you're gonna see that he's gonna reveal the caster, just like that. And I'm gonna place a single target medic facing to the left to help with the healing. Alright, great stuff. And then finally, I'm gonna place our healing defender over here, facing to the right. So, with this little blockade, you can see that the range of Cruz is able to extend over all the way until where Spot is. And Ashu also able to help out over there. And Midnight is handling the front of Spot and also the side of Spot. Now, why place Ansel here instead of beside Midnight? You'll see its impact later on. Alright? I'm gonna activate an Ashu skill just to give a little bit more attack going on into the stage and kill the enemies a little faster. Right? So the scariest enemy of the map, which to me would be the Seniors caster. He hasn't appeared yet. We're gonna see that coming in a bit. I love the fact that NSU can hit all the way to that bottom side of Spot. You can also see how the casters are not attacking NSU or Cruz simply because they are hidden by the bushes. Use all these map environments to the fullest use. Ah, Senior Caster, he's coming in. So you're gonna see the Senior Caster kind of like attack Ansel first. Because NSU, no, it's not because NSU is in the bush, but Ansel is not surrounded by any other allies within the 4 tiles. So only Ansel is getting damage right now. But later on, you're gonna see that this Senior Caster hits Spot and then Midnight receives damage as well. So to tackle against such enemies, you really want to kill them as fast as possible. That's one of the things that you can do. Or you want to make sure that you don't put so many operators together and cause them to receive so much damage in the map. So learning point over here, we're gonna see that being even more significant, I believe, in 3.7. Let's go to the next one, which is 3.6. Now this stage. So 3.6, oh, there's a new map element that we're seeing here again. So there's these towers. If you activate the towers using 5 deployment points, they will reveal all the invisible enemies that's around. We'll put that to use to see how this can help us in the stage. So same squad, although I'm not going to use all of them, Cardigan and I believe Steward, I will not touch them in this map, just like the previous one. Alright? Okay, so singular blue box on the bottom right as you see, and then there's 3 red boxes again. Nothing to be intimidated by. So I'll start off by placing a medic, since there's going to be a lot of casters appearing in this map. And I'm gonna put a sniper in.
Okay.
And I'll put another sniper. So how can you put those towers to good use? Activate them whensoever that you want, and you can see they're no longer invisible. The snipers are shooting onto them. I'm gonna place a range guard here, and if you can take some guesses, of course my defender is gonna be here. So it becomes this sort of choke point, right, where all the enemies are gonna be in front of Spot, and they're gonna receive a lot of damage from Miss Cruz and Mr. Ineshu right here. I'm gonna activate the tower again, reveal some invisible enemies. And it's just like that. Very, very simple stuff, you know. When the map gives you nice equipment, nice things to use to make the stage so much simpler, really go ahead and figure out how they are going to help you out. Right, great stuff. I'm going to activate another tower so that we'll reveal the caster over there. And then the last caster is going to get into range. Pew, there it goes. So Ansel's really helping out a lot there to counter the damage that the casters are dealing. Okay, let's review the enemies again. And then let's review another set right at the bottom there. Gonna go ahead, just that, and then Cruz is attacking on the caster. So sweet stuff. Okay, I got another tower available again on the top part there. Go ahead, let me turn that on. Gonna give even more damage onto the map here. And that's how I managed to clear 3-6. Still on the same idea, Chapter 3 is all about teaching you the basics in the game. Alright? Okay, 3-7. I think this is where it gets a little complicated because another thing appears in the map, which is a roadblock. We saw roadblock in Chapter 2 when it's introduced in a way to teach you how to block, especially close to the blue box. But now this is like a very big map. So how can we shape the map to our advantage, basically? Alright, same squad. Let me show you guys. There's gonna be a new enemy here. It's a catapulter per se. That guy also deals AoE damage just like the casters, except it's physical now. So let me show you how I do this. I'm gonna start off by placing a midnight over here, facing to the left. So we're gonna use his range again, just as usual. You might not get why now, but you'll see as I play. I'm gonna place a block here, just as the wolf is walking in. So I disrupt the wolf's movement. And I'm gonna irritate him again. I'm gonna pull right before he enters. Fun ways to play AK. And then, I'm gonna put in some casters. Sorry, not casters. I'm gonna put in some snipers over here. So I'll have Cruz facing upwards, just like that. I'll have an issue as well. I'm gonna put some blocks so that I can divert the enemy's movement. I'm gonna put another one right here. So they're gonna go around the tower, just as you see. I'm gonna put a caster here, facing upwards. And then a medic will be very nice. So a medic over here, facing to the left. I'm gonna deliberately change their movement again. So a block is gonna be placed. Kind of want to think about it. I'll place it right here. And once I have enough deployment points, I'm gonna place a defender to top it off. Over here. Just like that. So what's the benefit of putting Spot alone and there's no one nearby to him? As I mentioned, there's a catapulter enemy. You're seeing it right now. He's got a mortar gunner. And you can see that he can shoot really far. So if I place Spot like one tile down or one tile to the left, you're gonna see the snipers get hurt. You're gonna see the casters get hurt as well. And that's not what we want. So by isolating Spot on his own over there on that tile, that way we won't be hurting our range operators. And that's the benefit that we want. Alright? So another thing for you to learn here, you know, apart from using the range of your operators, how do you understand the enemy's range and tackle against them, basically? Ooh, look at that. There's gonna be a heavy defender leader. So you see him in Chapter 2, he's weaker to arts damage. But don't worry, that's why we're gonna Steward, and Steward is the one dealing kind of the most damage onto him. When I activate Midnight Skill as well, Midnight Skill changes to arts damage once you turn it on, which is helpful over here. Let's turn on the generator to reveal those invisible enemies, and I'm gonna have Anashiel skill up also. Okay, and then there's one more defender leader. Again, that will be handled largely by Steward. Let's get the generator up, review those casters, and just like that, you know, very I wouldn't say it's you could call it basic strategizing, but then again, these are very crucial things for especially those of you who are new to pick up through this video. Alright, this guy's coming in. Let me just have Anashiel to do the killing onto him. Good stuff. This is 3-7. We are already zooming in to the final stage of this chapter. So let's get right there. Okay, 3-8 tops it off with one last boss, and this one is definitely a much harder one. So this is Skull Shatterer. He's probably the highest HP that you'll see across this episode at S HP, which S is the highest grade that an enemy can go. So you will want to find a way to tackle him to get rid of him as much as possible, especially when his skill states that his attack increases significantly when HP is under 50%. Now, he's kind of like the mortar gunner that you saw just now. He's able to launch grenades up, and it also deals AoE damage. So same idea, it is best that you isolate your operators so that they don't hit everybody that's all around. And that's what I will show you guys through my strat. At the same time, that grenade that he shoots, it also reduces the defense of whoever that he's shooting. And that's not going to be good, because the more that happens, then your own operator's defense could get very weak. So we have to counter that. Alright? His weakness, C defense, B resistance. So the lesson of the day, physical damage or arts damage? Of course we're going to use physical damage against him. There isn't a lot of people here who's weak to arts damage, only the Bladed Fighter, and I believe the Dual Swordsman leader. So having a Steward will still be quite sweet here. Alright, and there's a bunch of drones. These drones don't attack, so it's gonna be fine. Now there's gonna be a bit of a change in this level compared to the previous one. I've been using that squad of 7 throughout the stages, but because this is a bit of a tricky boss stage, there's gonna be one more operator that I introduced right here, which is gonna be a fast redeploy. So fast redeploys are basically operators where you can place them down in the stage once, and then afterwards you can retreat them. They'll come back in the stage very quickly later on. In order to tackle this stage, I could be bringing like a Gravel, a Project Raid, or Phantom. But for those of you who are new players, maybe you wouldn't even have such operators yet. In this case, I can introduce you to an alternative, which is a Yato. So Yato is a fast redeploy herself, because of the trait that she has that says that redeployment time is cut by 30 seconds. So if let's say you don't want to, not that you don't want to, but you don't have a specialist executor yet, Yato at max level will work out just fine. Alright, so let me show you how I beat 3-8 with these 8 operators. Right, I'm gonna tackle the stage in a similar manner to 3-4. What I mean by that is that if you remember back in 3-4, we placed those snipers in the bushes, and then after we face them in the middle of the stage. So same idea, and then shield right here and cruise the facing the middle to take out all the enemies incoming. And then after, I'm going to place Steward here facing downwards, and then I will place Midnight over here as well facing downwards. So this is where I need my fast redeploy. You can see these 2 wolves running in, and they're dashing up real fast. So I'm going to place Yato there to kind of block them up. And then there's another wolf that's like rushing up, right? So I'm going to do some quick redeployment as well, just as you see. Alright. Okay, I'm going to place Ansel in so that Ansel can do some healing over there. So Skull Shatterer is basically attacking onto Ansel right now, but that's going to be okay. Ansel can basically out-heal his damage. I'm going to turn on Anashiel's skill so that we add more damage onto Skull Shatterer. I'm also getting Ansel's skill up to give more healing. and then I'm going to place another defender there, and just like that. So if you're wondering what in the world just happened, Midnight, Cruz, and Nashiel and Stewart combined, they were all dealing a lot of damage onto Skull Shatterer, enough to kill him before he walks the whole round all over again. So that is the situation that I want to fulfill. I'm going to activate Spot Skill over there. Oh, it's fine, even if Midnight goes down. I still got my 2 defenders holding up the lane, and all of my damage dealers also handling all the enemies there. So this is the idea, you know, of putting range and target priority to use. By placing Ansel last, Skull Shatterer was focusing on Ansel and not anyone else. That way, Ansel can heal only himself as a single target medic and out-heal the damage that Skull Shatterer deals. Interesting tactic to get you guys to learn. Just like that. That is how I clear 3-8 with very, very low requirement operators. Alright, so hopefully with all of the teachings that I gave you all through these stages, it gives you an idea of how to beat chapter 3, and at the same time, it helps you to learn better as to how you can strategize in Arknights. The summary, I suppose, of the learning points that we get here, always see the weaknesses of your enemies. This is something that is very important. TR15, it was teaching you about the redeployment of operators, so you can always retreat them, and then after you get some DP back. That is how I used, that's like a tactic that I used at 3-8 just now, as you saw, where I removed Yato to place Spot in to block up that lane. And then at the same time, we learned about the whole idea of AoE enemies and how you can go against them, you know, by placing a single operator, isolating them so that they can not require as much healing that goes on in the stage. And there's a lot of these stuff where you utilize the range of your operators, the snipers, the range guards, put them to fullest use to deal damage across lanes. Alright, so I hope you guys have learned a lot through this video. It's a very long one. I believe this exceeded maybe 40 minutes. But yeah, maybe it's a very soothing time for you to watch as well. Okay, that's that. Let me know what you think of this series. If you like this masterclass that I've given, just drop a comment down below. Give a like to the video as well. I want to improve on it, so tell me what you expect when I do chapter 4 or maybe some of the side stories in the future. Alright, I shall see you guys in the next one. Bye all!